StreamYard's a little slow today. Go live.
There it is.
Come on. There we go. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I am Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool and Jonathan. Today we've got a guest on the show, special guest, very famous guest, known across the country, north, south, east, and west.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All places. Let's present. Can we show his his profile here?
Yeah. Go ahead. I don't know if you're lagging on your end. There we go. There he is.
Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
The Matthew Stafford. No, not the NFL Matthew Stafford.
But the original Matthew Stafford will be on the show with us today. So
yes. Yep.
Yeah. I think you're lagging a little bit on your end.
Yeah, I'm going to switch over to give me a second here. I'm going to switch to I'm on Wi-Fi, so I'm going to switch off Wi-Fi. And that should improve things. All right. So I'm hard connected in DSL, so we're ready to go.
All right.
So we do have Matthew Stafford, but it is not of the LA Rams version. We have Matthew Stafford joining us today. He is an e-com expert. He's got a lot of experience as an entrepreneur, building several businesses across various industries, including the concrete brick and mortar locations, POD, and software-based ventures. He is the managing partner of Build, Grow, Scale, and an equity owner of some in-house e-commerce brands. And so I'm interested to talk a little bit about, we're going to get into some interesting topics, Sean, like obviously e-commerce, but we may even get into AI and how that's going to increase or improve your conversion rates.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right.
So
let's do
with
it.
that said, let's welcome him to the show. Welcome, Matthew.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Absolutely.
They love you on the internet, apparently. So.
Yeah, I had, so I'm from Michigan, and I had booked a hotel in Grand Rapids and gave him my name, Matthew Stafford. And the guy goes, "The Matthew Stafford?" And my response was, "My entire life." And I didn't say anything else. But when I got there to check in, they had comped the room. And I was like, okay, then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was not a football fan that you were talking to.
No.
But, with the helmet on, who knows? Everybody looks a little different on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was done before I got there. So whoever was taking care of it wasn't the same person, but he had just assumed he was doing it for that.
I would ride that. Every chance you get. I would take every chance you get to milk that.
Yeah. Maybe make up some fake football cards and sign them.
Yeah, when they called for the plunge, the owner called me and recognized my name, and my phone number was from Michigan, and he said, we'll send you a free one if you'll do some social media posts. And I said, well, I will, and you'll get tens of views, but I'm not sure you'll get the results you want. And so we had a fun discussion, and then he sold me one.
Yeah.
Can you sling football?
I'd be like, due diligence, my friend. Due diligence. All right.
I saw Matthew Stafford. My one experience, I saw him in person in college at a game, and that guy I've never seen a person throw the ball like him. And I've watched a lot of football, but up close and personal, the guy it was like he was throwing a laser. I mean, every time you just couldn't follow it. It was coming out of his arm so fast, or out of his hand so fast. It was.
Terry Bradshaw loves him.
Yeah.
He talks about him all the time on this.
He's got a gun.
Pre-shows and stuff. So, all right. Well, let's talk about our beverages real quick. Then we'll jump into the stuff. This is our juvenile beer talk section.
And coffee.
And coffee, right? Because Matthew, we had a listener one time tell us we should just skip the juvenile beer talk and get on with the show. But the show is literally called Persuasion by the Pint. So
sure.
So tell us about your coffee. Are you a dark roast, light roast? What kind of coffee are you having over there?
It's light roast, but I have a supplement in it from Bioptimizers. That's it's like lion's mane and a bunch of other stuff for focus. Yep. So I actually really like it.
Yeah, I do everyday dose. I put that in my coffee, and it's got the lion's mane and L-theanine and all the things in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It makes a good difference. And then throw in a little microdose of mushrooms in there. That's perfect blend. So, all right, you got a favorite brand coffee, or is it just whatever's on sale at the?
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm not a snob, not a coffee snob about it. So we have in our building here, we have a coffee machine. I just go down there and fill it up. Yeah.
No cat poop coffee for you.
No
high end stuff. Cool. All right, well, Jonathan,
I've heard about that cat poop coffee. That is so interesting that people drink that stuff.
That is, I'm not there yet. So,
and they pay a lot of money for it too.
Yeah, a lot of money. It was in one of those movies with Jack Nicklaus and was it Morgan Freeman, Jack Nicklaus? I think they were.
Yeah,
they talked about it there.
Yeah.
So, what are you having, Jonathan?
All right, so this is a first, Sean. I've got this is actually a homemade brew right here.
All right, you make it or brother-in-law?
So no, my son made it. Well, me and my son. So I'm going to take half credit because over Christmas he got like a brewer's kit and some equipment and stuff. So he and I worked on an ale, and it's taken a few weeks, but this will be my first taste test here live on the show. I told him I was going to take this. He's already had some. Okay. And I told him I was going to take it on the show and sample it and give it an honest rating.
It's amazing what these elementary school kids can do these days.
Yeah. I told him if it's really good, I'll set him up a lab here at the office, Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a raspberry. Yeah, it's a raspberry. I'll give you a description because I have to look on the box, the ingredient kit. It is a raspberry golden ale, and it's 8.5% ABV. So
wow, nice.
Yeah.
So you got little measurement devices to measure all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to be very precise. You have to sterilize everything. You have to. I mean, there's a lot of work.
Yeah. That's why we just go to the grocery store.
Exactly. How many bottles do you brew in a batch?
So we were able to get 8 bottles out of this when we did like a gallon a brew and ended up getting like just over a 6-pack. So
and how many hours does it take to do that?
Total time we spent was, we break it into stages, but if you put it all together, it was probably 2.5 hours total.
Oh, okay.
That's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. All right. Well, this is a repeat on the show. I've got a Coquita ale with coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and lactose, 12% ABV.
All right.
Nice ale color. So, yeah, should be good. So,
all right.
Let's cheers it up.
Cheers.
You guys are making me wish my 75 hard was over.
Oh, wow.
Is it good?
It's very good.
All right.
And I'm not just saying that. I told him I was going to be very honest, but
I know you're brutally honest with this stuff. So that's good to know. I expect a case in the mail at some point.
I thought it was going to be a little bitter, but no, I'm actually very surprised. There's a little bit of sweetness to it.
Very cool.
Maybe the aftertaste is not it's not super good. So
what are you going to give it on a scale of 1 to 5 pints?
I'm going to give this a 3.8. 3.8.
That's solid for this show. Good job.
Yep.
Good job. Matthew, what do you give your coffee on a scale of 1 to 5 pints with your concoction in it?
I'd say 4.2. It's pretty good. Yeah, I've had a little better, but it's pretty good.
Okay. Mine is very, I don't remember it being this coconutty. It's almost like suntan lotion.
That doesn't sound appealing.
Not that I've drank suntan lotion, but it tastes like
good at all.
Yeah, it tastes like suntan lotion smells,
Yeah. Close your mouth when you're spraying it.
Yeah, it's like Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that from last time. Now it kind of grows on you as you drink it, and that's probably the 12%. But
Yeah.
for starters, it's getting like a 3. So, yeah.
Wow.
Not great, but not bad.
I got to show. Look at this color, Sean. I mean, look at that.
It looks
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah. Looks very good. Nice head.
Yep.
Well done. Well done. I'll be expecting my case any day.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't mind making that one again. That's a really good one. I'm surprised. I didn't think it was going to be this good.
You're taking the show to a whole new level. I don't know if I can keep up. So we'll see. We got famous people on.
Might have to slap a persuasion label on.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into the topic of how can AI increase conversion rates. That's just one of the things we'll talk about. But Matthew, before we get started, like, give people a little bit of background of like how you got here. You don't have to go from birth to now. I don't have much time, but
sure. Yeah. So I actually have always been entrepreneurial. I started right out of college and ended up building a concrete company. And we poured 3D concrete paving for parking lots.
Oh, wow.
At the big box stores like Walmart, Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, stuff like that. And it grew to the point where I was on the road about 200 days a year. And I really didn't enjoy that anymore. And I went to a Tony Robbins event, and he was selling a monthly series called Money Masters, which had a DVD of people like Russell Brunson and Frank Kern and a bunch of the other, Brendan Bouchard, stuff like that you get once a month. And I started listening to those and realized, wow, I've only ever used my computer to send emails and blueprints and, bids and stuff like that, and never thought about selling online. And so I realized that I could do that and work from anywhere and not have to be reliant on the weather. And so I kind of set a goal to be online in 5 years and get rid of the other stuff. And so that came to fruition. And it started while I was still in the concrete business. I started selling t-shirts on a platform called Teespring. And what you do is you put a design up, and then you'd run ads to it. And I struck gold because I sold about $15 million worth of t-shirts in the first 2.5 years. Wow. And thought like, okay, you can actually make money online. And so at that point, it was full bore ahead. Let's get rid of the concrete. Let's stay home, work from the office, and go from there. And that's really my intro into online marketing. And
what was your first big winner t-shirt? What was the design?
It was a phrase. It was Schmidt happens. And so what I did is I scraped everybody's name that was Schmidt, and it was back when you could still get user IDs. And so I had probably about a 30,000 person audience, put the shirt up, didn't think anything about it, didn't look at it for, I don't know, it was maybe 4 or 5 hours, and looked before I went to bed. And so between like 5 and 10 p.m., I had done a little over $10,000 with it. And I was like, oh my God. So then I said, well, how do I there's got to be more than 30,000 people. What if I do this by every state? And so then I did it by every state, and ended up with about 300,000. And that shirt went on to make about 120 grand in the first 10 days.
That's very cool.
That's very Gary Halbert coat of arms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's exclusive. You have to be Schmidt.
Yeah, and then I sold infant shirts. I'm just a little Schmidt, and just a whole bunch of. We came up with a whole bunch of phrases, and literally created a whole Facebook page around it. And this was a lot of fun.
That is awesome.
That's cool. That's cool. I saw an advertisement a few years back for Teespring, and like a course on how to do it, and they were like, if you take a farmer and fishing, and you figure out something that kind of goes together, so you're kind of creating this little niche, and you create sayings around that. But that's very cool. Like I know around St. Patrick's Day, I get stuff for my name because I'm a Mick. So
it was very true. It was very quick that you got rid of just the niches themselves, but then when you got creative and combined two interests that people would like and have a little bit of creativity, there was just an enormous amount of money made for people.
Yeah.
And I really got good at running Facebook ads. And after I stopped selling the t-shirts, I had a couple of really large pages. So I opened an e-commerce store and realized that ads were very volatile. And so figuring out the data on the website, cleaning that up made the ads work a lot more consistent. And
Sure.
that's kind of where I came up with, traffic's not your problem. Everybody thinks, we just need to buy more traffic. Well, the average e-commerce store converts around 2%.
Right.
And so I'm looking at those numbers and I'm like, everybody else wants to buy 100 more visitors. I had 98 people that raised their hand, said they were interested in what I had to sell, came to my site and left and didn't want it. I'm going to find 2 more of those 98 that left. I'm going to double my business. And that's a lot easier than trying to double your traffic and keep your conversions up. And once we did that, then we could spend more and it was just off to the races. Everybody else is teaching ads and we learned how to optimize the site.
So was that through like retargeting, or did you do something on the page to do that, or
Yeah, on the website itself? I actually ran across the guy that said for $1,000 he would give you 6 phone calls, 1 a week, and teach you Google Analytics. Okay. And at that point, I had no idea. All I had done is run ads and started my store, and seeing the data that was in there, even at a very high level, because all we had done is just clicked on the enhanced marketing in Google Analytics. So we had maybe about 30 or 40% of the data that we work with now by using the tag manager. But it was enough for me to see what people were doing, go and make changes. And it literally just catapulted our ads from, we were doing a couple hundred sales a day to 1,000 sales a day.
So I'm curious, like what were some of the changes? Like what was one of the big changes that you did on page that made that kind of difference?
Yeah. So the page, or the differences between what we did back then and now are a lot different. What I will say is you could get away with a lot more back then because kind of the Wild West. Yeah. Now you really are competing with other brands who have over the years continued to evolve and get better. And so what I would say now is in all reality, you got to make your site Homer Simpson simple. And as much as people, they fall in love with their site and think that it has to be this big fancy thing because that gives them the warm fuzzies. But what they don't realize is it actually hurts conversions a lot. And a lot of times they're trying to copy some brand that owns their traffic, thinking that must have been how they got big, and really, really trashing their conversions. Another issue that I see is they're trying to do their own customer service. And so every time someone writes in with a problem, they try to go fix it on the website. And after a while, the website just becomes very bloated and confusing instead of understanding how to enter the conversation where the customer is. And a good example of that would be like add to cart or quick buy on the homepage. Dumbest thing I've ever seen. You have $100 average order value or a $200 average order value. That customer doesn't have enough information to make a $200 add to cart decision. That needs to happen on the product page where all the stuff is described and you go through everything. And so people don't click it, or they exit out because they're like, no, I'm not ready to add to cart. They don't realize that there's other things that they can do because these buttons are buy now, add cart, and on the homepage is not where to do that. So there's just a lot of things that people don't really think through the process of what has to be going on in the customer's head. They just think if I show you everything I have for sale, you're going to buy, and that just creates a problem.
Yeah, especially these days because once you click on one ad, you're getting 10 in the same niche with the same product within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
you just talk about it with your buddy and you're getting served the ad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That happened to me the other day. My wife was looking at something, and then because it's by IP address, so then it shows up on my phone. I'm like, I wasn't searching for this. Like, that's her. She's dealing with that. Let her deal with that. Yeah, it's crazy how fast it happens.
Yep.
And how many competitors, like, it's amazing how many competitors there are on niches you would think were pretty small.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden there's 10 of them. You're like, geez, where are these? Never heard of these guys before because I wasn't in the market before. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at a travel bag this week for traveling overseas, kind of a week-long bag that's lightweight, and all of a sudden it's like one after the other.
Yeah, I mean, as the store owners, you have to understand that that's actually what's happening. And I always tell them when we're having the conversation, your website is your conversation with that client that you can't have personally.
Right.
And so if it's not doing a good job of communicating, or if it's just like a word vomiting all over them, they're going to just get away from it and find something that's easier to use. And so the usability and the clarity are huge. Having these big walls of text or all the buttons matching everything on the page so that the next most important action isn't standing out. It's just a lot of stuff that I tell them you need to have this little paradigm shift. Go from being the store owner trying to sell your product to visiting your site as a customer trying to solve a problem. Right. And the moment you do that, you'll realize how terrible you are at selling, because what you're trying to do is you're taking all your business problems and giving it to them. And a good example of that is having your FAQ on every page. And like, if those are your frequently asked questions, that means you're not answering them on your website, which means you're being lazy and not if people are writing in and asking you that over and over. And so you go, oh, I'm going to put that on the FAQ. Why don't you just fix it on the site so that when they're thinking about shipping times, they know what it is, or when they're thinking about what's in the box, they know what it is, and all of these different things, instead of just going, here's all the information, you find it out, you figure it out, and then buy it from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at this isn't a physical product, but it was have you ever heard of HoloSync Centerpoint? They do the HoloSync stuff. Well, they have a new app now, and I've been a customer for theirs for a while. I went to their site about the app. It's like, 7-day free trial for the app. And I'm like, well, how much does it cost? Like, great, it's 7-day free trial, but what's it going to cost me afterwards? I could not find the answer anywhere. And it was so frustrating because I just it's not going to make or break the deal. Like, I want it. I just need to know before I sign up for a trial, like, first, is it going to be automatic? Is it going to be, give me a warning? All that stuff. Yeah. So I had to go to the app store because I knew the app store required, is there in-app purchases, that one line?
Yeah.
I had to go there to find the answer to whether or not and how much it was going to cost and all that stuff. It was nowhere on their site, not their FAQs, not anywhere.
Yeah.
And if I didn't already have a relationship with that company, I just would have told them.
So was it really expensive, or was it just an oversight on their part?
I think
they were trying to hide it.
It was $100 a year, which I don't, or $9.99 a month.
Not terrible.
Which for the quality of their meditations and their stuff, I'd pay that. I was fine with that.
Yeah.
But I was frustrated. Now I'm like, well, now it's a bad experience that I have with that company.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what they don't realize is that bad experience now opens you up to be available for another opportunity from someone else.
Right.
If they would have cleaned that up, you would be a loyal customer telling everybody about it, instead of now, if someone else came along and had a really good experience, you'd be like, oh, well, I might consider them. Whereas before that, you probably wouldn't have.
It almost feels like they're ashamed of the price point they're at,
Yeah.
It's like, why are you hiding it? If you're proud of this product? I mean, in the physical days when they just did CDs, those things were like $200 a CD. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I tell people that we work with, there's two main reasons why people are leaving your site and don't buy from you. One, they don't trust you. Or two, they have unanswered questions.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of times you don't realize the people that put stuff on their sites that is not clear, and it raises a question. Well, now that person can't make a decision until that loop is closed, and you can't speak with them in order to close the loop. your website doesn't do a good job, and then you wonder why 98 people out of 100 leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would even say when you have those unanswered questions, what little trust you did have, or even if you came in neutral, it starts to get eroded. It's like, what are you hiding? Like, why? This is a very basic answer. Why can't I find it? You know?
Yeah.
If they had
why are you making me search for it?
Yeah.
Right.
Literally, if they had it set on the free trial, 7-day free trial, then $9.99 a month, I wouldn't have even hesitated. I would have just signed up.
Yeah.
So, and I'll still get it. They'll still win, but only because I know them and I know the quality of the product and I've used it before. But otherwise I would have found it.
You're right, though. I mean, some of these companies, I mean, their advertising on social media is very good, or it's captivating, but then you go through the experience of finding out more by going to their website and finding, okay, what does this cost, and what are some other details, and then that's where they just fall short. I mean, they really do a good job on some of the videos and some of the stuff they put together because it's intriguing. I know I get, I'm like clicking on stuff. Like,
I'll share an interesting stat. People really don't expect you to be perfect. What they expect is for you to take care of stuff.
Right.
And the reason why I bring that up is you would forgive them if they had done a good job of doing that. In reviews, the highest converting reviews are 2 stars and less. So that's the most clicked on. That's the highest converting. People don't go to your website and want to see all 5-star reviews because then, again, they don't trust you.
Right.
They do your cherry picking.
Right. And so when they click on a 2-star and they see what the review was, and then they see that you handled it, then they actually believe in that. Oh, okay, things happen. They take care of it. Where a lot of store owners think like, oh, if I let people see that we messed up, they're not going to buy from me. And that's exactly the opposite of what actually happens.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. And there's this coffee company who came up with a brilliant marketing angle. They basically called their coffee like a GLP-1 coffee. And what they did is they took like green tree extract and basically precursors to how GLP-1 works, right? Since that's all in the news, all that. Yeah. So it's a brilliant marketing angle to do that. Kind of like the coffee we talked about earlier. So my wife was like, women are always looking to, lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? So she's like, oh, I'm getting this stuff because I don't want to do the jabs and all that stuff with the, GLP-1 stuff. She ordered it. The shipping, it went to the post office, but then the post office misdelivered. So she contacts customer service and like, well, it says it's delivered. She's like, well, that may be true, but I didn't get it. And she was complaining, and they would not handle it. They're like, well, you got to go to the post office. Like, they would not handle it. Yeah. So she complained on social media on one of their ads. They blocked her on social media.
Oh, wow.
They sent her because she was on a subscription. They sent her an email saying they canceled her subscription with no notice. It just said subscription canceled. I mean, it's just like it was bizarre, like how like antagonistic they were against like they just didn't solve the problem.
That's crazy.
And she would have been a customer for a good 12, 18 months or more.
Yeah.
And she tells everybody about it.
It's amazing how many businesses make their business problems their customers' problems.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make it a seamless experience. We have a client, he's 31 years old. When he first came into our ecosystem, he was doing a couple $1,000s a month, just really literally just getting started. He ended up in the first 13 months doing about $1 million. The second year he did 14 million. This last year he did almost 37 million.
Wow.
So, and he literally, his entire claim to fame is customer service. No matter what, it's a $2,000 average order value now. And they take care of customer service no matter what. Even if you don't buy from them, they'll still help you. They'll help you go through the different processes that they cover on their site. And so when people call them and go, well, I can get the same product over here for 20% less. And the salesman will literally say, well, go buy it over there and use us for customer service. Because when you call them, they're not going to answer. And the people will end up buying it from them anyways, because even though it's higher, that they know that they're doing what's going to be required if they need the help.
Yep.
It's kind of like the old Neiman Marcus, right? You know, people used to return stuff that Neiman Marcus didn't even carry, you know, back in the day, and Neiman Marcus would take it. I think Costco did that at one point. They took somebody's tires that they had used, and
yeah, it's like, unbelievable. If you provide a really good experience with the customer, like that spreads like wildfire over anything else. They are 20 to 30% higher than their competitors, and they've just become a behemoth in the market because their ability to take care of and the investment that they put into making it easy to have customer service right on the site and get the answers. It's unbelievably cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies are, I don't know if it's a scarcity mindset or what it is. They think, I don't know, just because that company I was talking about afterwards, I went on their site to look at their refund policy, and this is like 2.5-page refund policy.
My goodness.
And I was
wow.
oh, well, like there's some fear going on there. They're like, it's like, well, there's why are you so scared that people are going to return stuff if, like, what's going on with your product or the quality or like something's going on if you've created that long of a refund policy?
Yeah, well, my coffee doesn't have GLP-1 in it today.
Well, that's the funny thing. There's that neither. It was just a good angle.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't have the precursors to GLP-1.
It was basically green tea extract, I think is all it was. So I was like, so I told my wife, I was like, well, there's like 10 other coffee companies that put that in their coffee. So, you know, here you go. But they're blowing a good chance because that was a brilliant marketing angle.
Yeah.
Like they had the science right.
Yeah.
They sold it. But man, if they're treating customer service like that, they'll never make it.
Well, they're hiring the people that they put in place are just killing their business, which are probably just, you know, people online, who knows, you know, young kids who know that have an attitude or whatever. And these are the kind of people that will destroy a business, you know,
or it's just founders who are scared of returns and refunds.
Yeah. I could tell you, based off of the title of the show, can AI increase conversion rates? They would do a much better job if they would put a bot on the site that took care of customer service and let that handle it. Because I have a friend who has a platform, and he put one on, and his customer service went from a 76% rating to 99. And it was literally because, you know, that bot is never in a bad mood. Now they're programmable. You can put them in, you know, very friendly conversational tones. It knows everything about your product. It can answer any question. It can go find your order. It can do a whole bunch of things. And it's never overworked. It's never offline, and just takes care of stuff. And if they would have had that type of a customer experience again, you know, even if it was lost, then maybe it would have sent out an email to the post office or whatever. Like, there's just a million things that you can do that would be a different experience.
Yeah, I remember, Jonathan, I don't know if you remember, we had Rich Sheffrin on the show. With him?
Really good friend of mine. Very good friend of mine.
Cool.
I'm actually moving down next to him beginning of April.
Yeah, nice. Is he in Delray or is he in
Delray? Yep. Yeah. I'm in St. Pete, but I'm moving down there to Deerfield Beach.
I mean, I love Delray Beach and that whole area.
Yeah.
That's where I learned it. That's where I learned copywriting, is through AWAI. So used to go to their boot camps and all that. But he said 2 years ago when he was on the show, he showed us some deep fake videos back then, like before everything got going, from his launch that he did. But he said then, he's like, it won't be long before people will prefer talking to an AI customer service over a regular customer service. And you're already seeing that happen, you know, especially with
the first ones were pretty quirky and wouldn't really answer the question right, but they're really good now. Like they're really, you don't know.
Or they would repeat the question back to you, like, so you're asking blah, blah, blah.
They're really good now.
And now they like automatically ask follow-up, like leading sales questions, and like they can do border bump type.
Yeah, their conversion, they accelerate the conversion. They don't hurt the conversion now. 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Which, to your point, like you said, they're never in a bad mood. they're always consistent. Consistency is what you need in your business.
Yeah, they're not getting off work in 40 minutes and I'm on a hurry up and just answer or get over it, or like none of that stuff that like we don't realize how unproductive people really are.
Yeah.
Until you look at the numbers of those compared to live customer service, and they're killing them now. They're just.
Well, I know a lot of the old, especially the chat customer service, it's one person managing like 5 to 10 chats.
Yeah.
And there's that 2-minute delay because they're jumping from conversation to conversation.
Yeah.
And chat could do that seamlessly. Like they can handle 1,000.
Yep. Instantly.
Yeah. Infinite.
Yeah, I was reading an analogy the other day because we're starting to use AI a lot in analyzing the website data because it can do a lot better job than a human. We learn incrementally and then based on how much time we can invest in learning. Well, the AI literally has sucked up all the information and cross-reference it and do whatever. And the analogy that was used was the way a human learns is walking into a dark library with a flashlight. You shine it on the book you want, you pull the book out and you start reading it. Well, AI turns the lights on the entire library, sucks all the information up, and then can get 30 librarians to grab the thing that's relevant for what you're looking at and then cross-reference it. And so we're doing that with, 12 months of Google Analytics data and 12 months of Shopify data and asking it, hey, this site's converting at 1.5% and it's a $80 average order value. We want to convert at 3% with a $100 average order value in the next 90 days. Can you tell us what we need to do? And it's getting better and better and giving us like crazy good answers that I can't argue with. Certainly things that we're starting to implement and it's working. So we're using that data to be predictable.
Yeah. So what's the most surprising thing in that situation that you've heard that you're like, you would have never thought of that? Because like I use AI sometimes for copywriting and some other things, and every once in a while there's a one-liner, and I'm like, holy crap, like that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you had that kind of experience?
Yeah,
with
we certainly have. Like, it brought out some demographic data being seasonal, and why that was relevant to the sales cycle. And I was like, oh, wow. It's like actually thinking several levels into this. It's not just this 20-year-old demographic converts at this much on Facebook. Like it literally went to the time of the year that they were buying and why it was a higher percentage than normal and that we should run a promotion during that time. And I was like, oh man, like this is really looking at stuff from a lot of different angles.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. What else are you seeing with AI and how as far as analysis or UX or like?
Yeah, I
using it.
I think obviously a lot of it's trying to replace, the people that do what we do, the simple stuff. So I think really the buttons and text and things like that, it's going to be able to make that much more dynamic than what we can do as humans. And then I think it's really going to be on us when we look at that data to come up with behavior change ideas using the data that it's giving us. And that's really where the next set of wins will be. I think we really will over the next 6-8 months. I think that e-commerce in general could convert twice as high as normal, just because of the fact that, the bar that has been set so far right now is pretty low. Like if you're taking your customers on a sales call and you had 80 of them call, you probably sell 60-70% of them. That's not happening online because the conversation isn't as dynamic as a phone conversation. But to go from 60 or 70% to 2, I definitely think that we're going to be able to use the insights and the data from how people interact with a website to drastically improve the conversions over the next 6-8 months.
Do you guys do any like 1-800 number type stuff, or do you strictly do online?
Yeah, we just do online. Yep.
Yeah.
We have everything to do with a website. So when they click on something, land on your website till they give you money. That's our specialty. We don't run media. We help media work better. Okay. Really, media companies are our best referral partners, because when we go in and clean up the site, make it convert higher, they can scale their ads.
That makes sense, right? Yeah, they can actually afford to keep the ads running at that point.
And some PE firms use us too, because we can go in and, you know, all they care about is money. They're not worried about the not near as much about, oh, is the button color this or that, or does it match my theme, and They want sales, which is how you really build a brand.
So I'm looking at your press kit that you sent here for some questions.
I want to know about psychology and the buyer behavior. How does that influence conversion rates?
I would say that's literally all I focused on. I believe that the way we teach principles, not tactics. So tactics expire. The way people interact with your website is human nature. And so a lot of those things is where I've come up with my ideas for testing. One perfect example is on the checkout page, where people ask for your email, your phone number, and your information. I was reading a book by Robert Cialdini called Persuasion. And he says, people don't mind giving you information if you give them a reason why. Mm-hmm. And
because
we're asking them for their email and their phone number, which are very private to people, and they don't want to give it out. And we track the form field errors, and the email and phone number were huge error numbers, like 200-300% errors compared to other forms. And so what we did is we started testing some text in those form fields, and we put email required for order confirmation. Well, that reduced the errors by 270%, because the order confirmation email is opened about 85% of the time. People want to know that they got their order right, and so they open it. So we realized our abandoned carts were going up and our form field errors went down, because people were giving us their best email. And so then we started playing around with the phone number and came up with phone required for shipping notification. Everybody wants to know when their item shipped.
Yeah.
And we realized, like, we tried a lot of different phrases in there, and one that we tried, it literally cut the conversions on the page in half. We put in there phone required, we will never call you, just thinking that we just needed the phone, and that literally cut the conversions in half. People were like, no. So we introduced the problem that they hadn't thought about. Like, no, I don't want them to call me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like a salesperson creating an objection that wasn't there.
Yeah, that's literally
exactly.
Yeah, so
you've already put it in their mind
right away. Yeah.
No, that's cool. So were you doing that like below the box, or as like the grayed out
right
stuff in the box?
Yep, right in it. And then email that's required for order confirmation. Yep.
That's cool. It's so simple, and like that's amazing.
Yeah, and this is the psychology of micro commitments too. So on the homepage, we don't say shop or buy now or add to cart. See more, learn more options. All of those things tell you, like, oh, this isn't all, or hey, there's more. If I click that button, I'm going to see more options. And by doing that, we've got them to move off that page. That's a micro commitment. The farther they get page to page to page, we realize the higher the conversion is. The longer they stay on your home page, actually, the lower they convert. And so sliding banners and a bunch of these other things that people try literally hurt it, instead of trying to get them. Your homepage is designed to build trust and then easy navigation to what they're looking for. So a search bar and your money-making links, that's what you want. Anything else shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that makes sense, because like when I write Facebook ads, for different copy clients, you have all the different options, and learn more is one. And for a long time, there was this thing in direct response copy, especially, long ago. It's like you never use the word learn. Like that was a dirty word in like old school copywriting, because it's like, oh, that reminds people of school
work.
Learn more on Facebook ads has been by far the most successful call to action. And it makes sense for what you're saying, because I've seen people be like, buy now, and it's like, wait, if I click this, but it's not even logical. It's like, if I click this button, is it going to start an order?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't given them. Yeah.
Before COVID, only about 10% of sales were done online. Like literally, we've all been selling online for a long time, so we just assume everybody does it.
Yeah.
It's not true. During COVID, it got all the way up to 33% of sales are done online. Now it's back to like 27, 26%.
Yeah.
We, just because we've been doing it for 8-10 years, there's a lot of people that are still just getting started, just now finally trusting it, just now, that's their lifestyle, and it's becoming more and more. But people make a lot of assumptions that, I know what that means. They think that their customer knows what it means. The moment you start doing customer service for some of these brands, and you see the questions that people write in with, and you're just like, common sense is not that common.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of situations where it feels like if you click that button, you're starting the order instead of learning more about the order.
Right. 100%.
And it feels very like,
yep.
Oh, I'm not there yet, buddy. It's like the website is leaning in for the kiss, and you're not there yet.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
And it's
you
like,
haven't got my name yet.
Yeah. It's like, slow down here, killer.
Yeah.
I saw that on, I'm doing some sales for a client just to like learn their customers and things like that. And their finance form, they use a third-party finance form, and that link, even to fill out the application, the first question is like, checkout. And it's like, whoa, like it should say application, not checkout.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. It just puts that little bit of a speed bump in the way.
Yeah. A lot of times it's unconscious. They don't even know what feels off. Yeah. And they say that, because again, with the persuasion techniques, they say that language is only about 6% of communication, and the rest is tone of voice and a few other things, and body language. And I believe that that's very similar to websites too. The text matters probably a little more than 6%, but all the other factors are also playing a role in whether someone feels comfortable or not comfortable with your site.
That's a good thought. Like, tell me more, like what is it? I know it goes beyond colors. Like, what would be the body language equivalent on a website?
Well, one thing, like if you have walls of text instead of ways for people to figure out the question that they want to get an answer to, like tabs work great. You could have a shipping tab, you could have a details tab, you could have a refund policy tab, or progressive disclosure, and multiple different ways you could do that, instead of making them go through all that information to find their answer, or like you go through all that information, still not even say what the price was.
Yeah.
Instead, you could have said, monthly subscription, click the tab, and explain all that to you. Now you didn't have to go through the shipping policy. You didn't have to go through the refund policy, because you didn't care about that. You cared about the one thing. And so that matters a lot. And then when it's there, people want to be able to skim and find the point that they're looking for and get their answer, not have 3 paragraphs that are, the most amazing product ever, da, 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 da. I always say, according to who? The person, you saying all that, it's not actually helping the sale. It's preventing them from finding what they want. They don't trust you.
Right. Yeah, it's like the movie Elf, world's greatest coffee. Congratulations. Did it. I just had something I was going to say. Jonathan, you had a question. I'll remember.
Yeah. Going back to, you were talking about some of the principles of influence. Going back to social proof, because you were saying something interesting earlier, that people kind of are a little jaded with testimonials nowadays because you don't know, or ratings, I think is what you were saying. Like if you see all 4 or 5-star ratings, and you're kind of a little suspect, or a little sus, as my kids say. What are some other ways of social proof that you're seeing that your clients are incorporating outside of just testimonials?
User generated content works really well. People don't want to be the first one to try your stuff out. They want to know that other people have tried it and have a good experience. Amazon did a test, and over 200 reviews, it actually doubled their conversions when they got above 200.
Yeah.
And then they said in the report that it didn't matter how many above 200, it was a diminishing return. So that was kind of like the sweet spot. People feel like, okay, with a couple hundred reviews, they've helped enough people now that this is not a fly by night or a startup or whatever that I might get jaded and ripped off.
Right. Makes sense. I remember my question now. I was going to say, like, when you talk about like enough information, and if you want more, it's easy to find out. I think somebody who does that really well is Apple when they do their launches. Like, if you want to know about the chip, the M1 chip, you just hit a little button and it expands and it like really breaks down the technical specs and what it can do. But if you don't care about the chip, you can scroll right past it. You don't have to read any of it, and you can get to the camera or to the whatever,
Exactly. You get to answer. You don't have to go through everything to find your answer.
Yeah. It's very drop down. Like, okay, I want to know more about this. I click a button, it expands. Yeah. I love that.
We have tried like to mimic things on Amazon and Apple and a few other different things. And typically it doesn't work the same as like how they get away with it. But they have what I would say they have earned media. So you know that when you go to Amazon, they're not browsing, trying to price shop and do all that other stuff. When you go to Amazon, you're literally going to buy something. I think their conversion rate is like 70. It's in the high 70s percentage.
You're there to spend money.
Yeah.
You're gonna walk away. Something's going in the cart.
And so that's not based. A lot of the stuff they do is not based on conversion principles.
Yeah.
And we've tried copying some of the things and it's tanked. A couple of things that we have done is borrowed the social proof of like the Amazon color for reviews. You automatically in your mind unconsciously understand what an Amazon review is. Well, if your reviews on your site are yellow, like Amazon, or Amazon's yellow, instead of the orange that matches your theme, they stand out more. And you naturally assume like, oh, it's got the reviews, which matter in conversion. I know we've tried a couple of things in copy and asked people, where did you hear about us? Oprah, Dr. Oz, or other. And so you give them that question and they automatically assume, oh, well, they've been on Oprah, Dr. Oz, but that's not what I heard. And they'll like other do whatever. It's funny, the people that say they heard about us on those sites, which we've never been on, but like you do that because it provides social proof. People go, oh, okay, this has meaning.
Yeah. In copy, I called it third-party proof or borrowed credibility.
Yeah.
So when I wrote copy, a lot of times I love using like old, well-known quotes. Clayton Makepeace did this a lot. He would use cliches for the same reason.
Yeah.
They sound true. They sound trusted. They're familiar. But like for a lot of my subheads, instead of like a sentence or whatever, I would actually put a quote from a famous person that's relatable to what we're about to talk about. So now I've got Mark Twain talking about my promotion.
Yeah.
And little things like that, like you're like, oh, well, if Mark Twain said it, like this next session must be true. Yeah. And it's a false logic, but it works. And I love using old quotes for that kind of stuff. Who would you say right now, other than like the Apples and the Amazons, because obviously they have so much goodwill and so much trust built up. I can see why stuff would work there that doesn't work. But as far as like maybe that $10 to $100 million range, who do you think does e-commerce the best? Whether it's one of your clients or somebody else, like who do you think does that the best?
Man, I think so much of a business relies on the owner's personality. And so it's hard to say one is the best. I think they might serve their niche in a way that has a lot of goodwill. One client that I would say they're my favorite. We've worked with them for almost 9 years. They're phenomenal quality in what they do. It's called Anson belts, and it's one of those ratchet belts. Okay. And they just they do a great job in their customer service. Still to this day, doing millions of dollars a year. You don't know if the owner's going to answer when you call customer service, because it's a father and son, and a lot of times it's one of those two people who have answered the phone and will literally take care of customer service. And so I would say the most successful clients that we have, customer service is their number one thing. That's the hill that they die on. And when they do that, it builds enough goodwill over time that the customers come back again and again. So I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek. I'll scroll back up, go right below that image right there. Okay. You'll see the see hows. So this site converts almost, close to 6%.
Okay.
If somebody clicks a see how button, they click at double digits. And so one of the conversion tools that we used on here was we asked on the thank you page when someone buys, leave that one open for a second and I'll share the story. When someone buys, we ask the question, what was the one thing that almost made you not buy? And so those people they'll tell us exactly what was confusing or was difficult about the site. And we use those and go back through and optimize the site. Wow, they didn't understand what mix and match meant. And so when you click play right here, it's 26 seconds. So you can just play it real quick. And he'll show you in 26 seconds what that means.
We won't be able to hear it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So for those listening on the podcast, we're on, what is it? Anson, ANSON belt.com.
Yeah. And so you watch him just pull the buckle off. He pulls one out of his other pocket, puts it back on, and now it's done. So you can mix and match just like that. So now instead of converting at 4 to 6%, he converts over 10% for every single person that clicks one of those see how buttons and answers one of those questions that people didn't understand.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a wealth of information if you just ask, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of companies don't ask. It's like, I'm amazed. Like, we've been a Peloton user for, probably since 2017, maybe 16. So way before they got popular with COVID and all that stuff. And I'm amazed that a company that size never sends out questionnaires, never sends out surveys to their users about, hey, what would you like to see for Veterans Day? What would you like to see for Pride Month? What would you like to see for, it's like, before you make some of these big decisions, why don't you ask your people,
right,
what's going on? So yeah, it's amazing. If you just call, slow down and ask people, they'll tell you. What other big secrets have you found with your clients?
I would say probably another tactic, or not tactic, but principle that has stood the test of time is a hierarchy of focus. So what I mean by that is always having the next most important action super visible and obvious on the page. So when you're on a category page, the buttons to click into the next section or the filters are the next most important action. So that's what everything should be centered around. The same with on the product page, the add to cart is the next most important. So if your theme is black and yellow, that button is not going to stand out if it's black or if it's yellow. It should be blue or green or red. I try not to use red just because red kind of signifies like an error on a website.
Or stop sign. Yeah.
But any other, the color itself isn't what matters. What actually increases the conversion is that it sticks out and doesn't blend in with everything else. And when it does that actually increases conversions. So that actually increases conversions on every page if you use that principle, because every page has the next most important action.
Mm-hmm.
So you use like I know graphic designers might use a primary and a secondary color, and then there's like an opposite color wheel color. Do you do that, or you just
We don't even get that fancy.
okay? You just test different colors.
Yeah, the ones that they'll allow us. Many of our sites use a green button.
Yeah, that makes sense because probably. Yeah. So tell us about some of your, like, what industries are you in? We'll start wrapping up here, but like, who do you consult with? Like, who's your best client for people that are listening?
Yeah, so I would say another damage and mission. We kind of pigeonholed ourselves for the first 6-7 years into just physical product space, and what we realize is the principles that we work with really work even well on the digital products. So we have a company that sells golf training, and they did about 60 million a year. And so we put that question on their thank you page, and we got 540 responses, and 470 of them were the videos too long. And I was like, they said, no, we can't shorten it. We've tried shorter versions. It doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't convert as much. And we came up with the idea. We said, do you watch your videos on 1x speed, or do you watch them on 1.2, 1.5, 1.7? And they're like, oh yeah, we definitely speed them up. I said, well, let's try that. And so we did, and they got a 10% lift. So for them, that was a $6 million win. And
wow.
So there's we've
just that one little tweak, speed it up.
Yeah. Give them the ability to speed it up.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
People that were exiting because they could watch it faster, they decided to stay.
Which is crazy because you never see that option on most e-commerce sites, right? I mean, you can't do that. You can't speed the video up. You have to watch it, or you can probably skip a little ahead. Maybe you might have control of that, but
that's why I have Video Speed Controller as a Chrome extension, because I can go through any video.
And so what I would say is it's not the industry, because data is agnostic. And we really use the data to make our decisions. We do this all day, every day. And if we're guessing or we don't have data early on, probably half of our tests win or less. And so we have companies that have a $3,000 average order value and companies at $50. So it's really the data that matters, and having good, clean data. So the product itself, I don't think that matters.
Yeah, I think there's a market. I mean, would you agree that there's a market for almost everything now these days?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
And every price point, like,
yeah, people aren't afraid. So obviously the higher price points do much better if it's like click to call, or, fill out a form. And you give them that option as well. So we have a electric bike company that we did a lot of optimizations for. And what we did is when someone would abandon cart, we would zap that over to a Slack channel, and the salespeople would pick the phone up and call the person back right away. And they made about 2 sales a day. Well, it's a $4,000 product. So it was an extra $40,000 a week, or, $160,000 a month in extra revenue just from sending their cards to a Slack channel.
Just from following up with them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I heard the reason why we did that is Perry Belcher was giving some stats at an event I went to, where he said that if you follow up within a minute, you make 70% of the sales, because I guess in sales, like 80-90% of people have never been followed back up with, even after they leave their information. And
so what is, if you don't mind me asking, what is the main reason why people would get to the very end and abandon a cart? What are the responses that you get back?
Well, you'd be shocked. I mean, it's the people that are buying these electric bikes it's like a 3-wheeler. Mm-hmm. They're definitely older. And so for them to actually trust buying something that's $3-4 grand over talking to a real person, it's just not the same for them. And
so it's the demographic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's an issue. It's a large investment to just click and Like, okay.
Yeah. And
we'll
again, it is the trust or an unanswered question. And a lot of times the answers are very, very simple. Like it's not a hard question, but they want to feel comfortable for their.
They want to know humans behind
a
it,
human
not
being. Yeah.
not it's somewhere in China that nobody's cares.
Yeah,
that kind of
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then they know that they're put together in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and
Yeah,
and
sure.
then they're like, oh, okay, great.
Well, I think there's also a certain demographic, especially like our parents, so the boomer generation. I mean, they were trained their entire buying life to either get 3 quotes or to look the person in the eye before you buy, or like they were trained to ask questions before you buy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they don't do that physically, like it just feels off to their nervous system, like literally. Like they
were going to 3 or 4 dealerships before they made a decision on a car.
Yeah. Now you can buy a car on Amazon. Like it's and you go the other end with, what is it, Gen Alpha or Gen, millennial, like I guess Gen Z probably. Like you don't want to talk to anybody. Like, how can I do this without talking to a single soul?
Right.
Please don't make me talk to anybody. Like, so you have to know your demographic and psychographics within that range. For sure.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, sites are contextual, and it's 100% based off of who is your buyer.
Who is your buyer? Yeah,
because the tricycle guy, they're going to want to talk to somebody, but the one wheel, consumer, they're just going to drop $1,500 on a credit card and ship it to me. It's like, it's amazing how different.
Well, I can tell you in that golf, you talk about the golf training, because I'm one of their demographics, probably, that they market to.
You probably already bought from them.
I probably am on their list. I've been on their list at some point. But that is, I mean, that's an area, or that's a demographic where you typically, and I'm sure that this is true with your client, you're basically offering at higher prices because your market is at a place where they spend more money on stuff like that, right? Equipment, training, you name it. But those are also, just as we were saying, those are the people that kind of want some personal interaction, right?
A whole bunch of them. One of the upsells is that you can go hang out with one of the pros or have a 2-day class with the pro and So 100% they want that.
Yeah, you can't do it 100% just throwing out videos to them. They want some other connections. And I know a lot of these companies out there, may not be yours, but they do, in addition to the online training, they do a lot of these in-person events and things like that all across the country at various times. So yeah.
I worked with the CEO, and he was old school, came up through Procter & Gamble, and he would not do business with a software company if they did not have a number and a person that he could talk to when something went wrong.
Right.
Like if it was a support desk or, email system, that was a deal killer. He wanted to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody when he needed it.
Yeah. I don't blame him. It is more annoying than anything. Like, you literally can't get a hold of someone, and then those dial-up systems are not they're not foolproof yet. That's for sure.
Looking at you, everybody from ClickFunnels to GHL, and can't talk to anybody. So,
Matthew, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for spending some time. I wish I could. I was on Delta. Speaking of like frustrating e-commerce experience, I was on Delta's website yesterday trying to get flight reservations for in a few weeks to go overseas, and it's just like the whole e-commerce experience there was just, I wasted probably 45 to 50 minutes of my time. Because what I would do is like they would give you options for like these different levels. If you didn't want to fly cabin, if you wanted to do like business class or comfort plus or whatever, you select on that and just like, oh great, okay, great. I go to the next thing, and then when you go to select your seats, there's no seats available. It's like, why did you take me through this process when there aren't any seats available?
And they don't understand. I don't understand how they try to push more and more people to their sites without optimizing them first. Because it just creates unhappy customers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And flying is already enough hassle. Like you don't want to.
It is.
You don't want them arriving there pissed off already. You know, or with that in the back of their mind that it was a process just to get the ticket. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do people find out about you?
BuildGrowScale.com, and obviously you can email me too at matt@buildgrowscale.com. I read all my emails. I'd love to, look at your site for you. We'll give you an audit, do whatever, and provide some value.
All right.
Well, Matthew, this is good. I would love to. So I'm in a industry specific podcast that I do. That I think I've got a lot of clients in my industry that could benefit from this, that do sell online in the plastics and composites industry. So I need to touch base with you after or shortly after, follow up with you by email and talk to you about having you on that platform.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to. Thank you.
You bet, man.
All right. Well, Matthew, if you got a second, we're going to put you in the green room. We'll wrap up and then we'll come back and do a little post-show chat.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yep. You bet, man. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, some good
amazing.
There. Yeah.
All the little details, the little subtle details.
Yes.
They go into this.
And I'm sure we didn't even scratch the surface. So if you've got a e-com site and you're looking for go from 1 to 2 to 4 to whatever percent, like
I was going to ask him, what do you think, Sean, is the most important color? I mean, those are like subtle details, like colors.
Yeah, they're going to have to go to buildgrowscale.com and book a call and find out.
That's right. We'll have to leave you hanging.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He did mention green on the
some buttons. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Green means
absolutely.
Go.
Yeah,
love
exactly. Yeah,
right,
check him out. We'll be posting his link on our on our show page, and you can find it over at Persuasion by the Pint. Sean, you have this episode listed 384.
Yep.
Over our website, 384 episodes, episode 384. You can check it out. And thank you all for listening. I believe we have a guest next week joining us on AI. He's written a book on AI. Is AI going to replace you, or something to that effect? So it should be
will AI take your job, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And should be a pretty interesting conversation. But with that said, thanks for listening. You can find us on all of your favorite platforms that you listen to find podcast out there. And you can check us out also at persuasionbythepint.com. Leave us 5 stars. We appreciate it. And we will see you all next week.
See ya.